Hello and good day. Welcome to the Captain Total Waffle show that is barging your way as we are barging into Spain. This is indeed the Danish campaign, and it's brought to you on speed because I felt that a little speed was just what we would need to get us through this eternity of Danes slogging along on the Iberian Peninsula. And more, of course. We'll get to all of that. So what's going on right now? Well, yeah, we have a crusading army. It's heading into Valencia, and times are tough, but we're gonna do it anyway. The thing is, it's only tough because they've got a lot of towers, and towers, yeah, we can deal with those. So we're gonna go for the gates, trying to hit them at as many angles as possible so that their towers will not shoot the folks scaling the walls at any given time. That's the aspiration, and you know, we're sort of giving it a go. Some people are being shot, of course, can't be avoided, but the fewer the better, the fewer the better. You know, more the merrier of our troops making it through alive. And then we tried to surround their melee fighters at the gate. You know, those guys were pretty nasty. The Portuguese have access to some pretty nasty types of people. As it happens, it is a little weird that Portugal is in control of Valencia, but you know, maybe that's why the Pope wants to take them down a peg, hence the crusade, hence why we're here. It's not the best crusaders in the world that we've got going on here. There's a lot of inexperienced military leaders here, including a very, very old crown prince who was requested to go, and yeah, it's a little bit of a shame that we have to use him, but that's what the Pope wants, and that's what he's gonna get. But, you know, all being said, he is doing a fairly decent job of routing the enemy troops, and routing them is definitely desired. Speaking of desired, here comes a ram for the second level of walls, and we are going to ram it down their throats while putting crossbows on the wall so that we can basically cover the inside of the citadel with fire. You know, crossbow fire to be precise. And meanwhile, we'll do some hit and run tactics with cavalry just to try to mash a little bit. And try to keep the enemy on their toes, and yeah. Oh, yeah, there goes their general, and we are now in spitting distance of victory. So our crossbows halt, and everything else just goes mash, because there's only one way to win that, really, at the end of the day. So there we go. Valencia is now the territory of Daneland. Daneland? Yes, Daneland, indeed. And so, is the Pope happier with us? Marginally, apparently. You know, yeah, it's decent. Yeah, a little bit of recognition there. But now, of course, it's up to us to hold the place. Now, the immediate crusader who went, of course, was pretty good at that. But let that be foreshadowing, because he's pretty old, so... New turn, costly army, Lateran Council, pause if you want to. Ecclesiastical Council called, and a little bit of extermination of heretics. Hooray, hooray, hooray. Wonder if something would happen if we were unable to clear all the heretics, but let's not speculate right now. Let's go to Valencia, where we are trying to make this place viable long term. Yeah. So far, it's going okay. And Bua is keeping a decent lid on the place. But now there are also rebels hiding in what was formerly known as the Holy Roman Empire, presumably. / Poland. Because Poland took it over from them, and now we're taking it over, and we intend to stay. But we are trying to figure out what to do with Valencia, to be honest, because the idea of putting up an entire colony down there, not my favourite. But let's see where it goes. For now, we are trying to give it to the Holy Roman Empire, who have troops in the vicinity, and we are friends with them, so that would be pretty nice, you know, decently synergistic. But yeah, here we go. We've lost our crusader and our leader, and now the crusader becomes king. Hooray for that. Yeah. Alright, one heretic down, and a bit of spying on the Portuguese, because you just gotta do that these days. And then princesses going around on diplomatic missions, you know, they can be pretty good for that. And occasionally they can get you a nice general. Diplomat sure isn't doing his work properly because he's not getting anywhere with those deals, but what can you do? What can you do? The Germans don't want the town after all, even though they sent a crusade after it. Who knows? Maybe they just intended to raid it and move on. That's none of my business, though. What is my business is Prussia, apparently. We're supposed to train priests and get them over there because the Pope wants that place cleansed. It's a bit of a task, but we'll take it on. And speaking of taking on some good stuff, well, we have the Lithuanian raiders. Yeah, more rebels in the Germanic provinces, and they shall go down because Bjarke is coming to town. That's just how the cookie crumbles around here. And just like cookies, their lines shall crumble as well. Oh yeah. And they're out and down for the count. So, back to campaign map, looting camps, fighting battles personally, hooray. The game seems to like that, and here comes another one. So let's hope they enjoy that too. This one's going to be with a tad bit more of a loss on the personal side of things, but we will charge them and make everybody happy. We've got enough cavalry to sort of dominate the field, but yeah, we're losing a lot of spearmen. But the spearmen are easy to replace, and as long as they die instead of our knights, we shall be very happy. But we do lose some knights, and that's sort of where we are slightly less happy with this battle than the previous, but what can you do? What can you do? Well, we can hunt them through the forests of southern Jutland, that's for sure. Yeah, okay. Back into Ribe, and yeah, it's a nice place, by the way. You should go to Ribe someday. Meanwhile, witches afoot. Witches in the east. But we're having some decent luck with our priests. I've resorted to the fact that we're just not going to get a high quality priest as Denmark anytime soon. So the strategy there is just to throw them at the heretics, and if they get converted, we throw new priests at them. And if they manage to burn some heretics, then, you know, hooray, hooray, hooray. Alright. Beauty in Denmark. Oh, a magnificent little princess coming along. Or noble woman, at least. Noble lady. Yeah, she's going to go on a boat. She's not going to like it, but she will get off it eventually. It's not a long trip. She just has to go to the German mainland. And everything's good over there. And seems that one of our generals is conspiring against us. So we're just going to keep him in Ribe, where he seems pretty happy to just do the taxes or something. We'll see. Maybe he's not happy. Maybe that's why he's unhappy. He's just been sat over there for like half a generation. But, you know, he seems competent at the job, and that's what he's going to do. God damn it. Speaking of the knights down there. Oh, hello. Mongols invading. We don't need to care. We're nowhere near there. And we're losing a leader. That's kind of a theme in this particular episode. It's losing a lot of leaders because we keep getting old leadership. I don't know where the game gets that from. You know? It's almost mirroring life, isn't it? Not that I should complain too much, because our current leadership in Denmark is, you know, our Prime Minister is still under the age of 50, I believe. Wait a minute. Let me just look that up. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Born in 1977. So, barely under 50. But yeah. Yeah, 48. Yeah, that'll do. That'll do. It's certainly better than some other places one could mention. And new king. Bjarke the farmer. Okie dokie. So we lost our crusader, and now there's only one general to keep tabs on Valencia down there. We don't like that, obviously, so I'm going to be sending a new one down momentarily. That's just going to need to be done. Plans are afoot. So generals will board boats, and yeah. Bjarke will sit in Roskilde for a while, try to get some authority. You know, the game tends to like it when kings sit in your capital, so that's what we're going to do. And meanwhile, we're having some new people come of age, which is nice because this seems to indicate that we have a new generation that we can throw into this thick of things and, you know, get a decent shake wherever their adventures might lead. And so, you know, indeed, one shall be going down to the Valencia region, because since we haven't really been able to trade away that bloody place, it seems to me that we're gonna have to try to make a stay for it and just make the best of it. As luck will have it, Toledo is quite nearby, and it's a bloody wealthy one. So, you know, more on that later. And we're building castles. Basically, I mean, our infrastructure projects are all going pretty well, I am happy to say. And the Portuguese are amassing, but, you know, it's not in their force significant to merit worrying or anything. So we'll just carry on, see if they go away. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And there comes a merchant, and he goes away because our merchant is better. Hey. And the Portuguese try to get by, but we slap him on the thighs together with our German allies, and I mean, basically the tears of joy never dries. The tear of joy never dries. Okay, let's see. New folks coming to the family. Let's separate them out, give them all something to do. Either a place where they can learn or a place they can govern. You know, they gotta get some traits, gotta get some personal development going so they don't just procrastinate into boredom and early dementia or something. Yeah, Solveig is on her way. Our diplomat tries to establish relations. He's moderately successful at the basics, but no great breakthroughs are coming. Hanseatic League developing. That's very good for us, actually, because we are sitting on most of the Hanseatic trade routes. And here is a guy who wants some lovin', so we're trying to make that happen. We have a quest about it, so we might as well make a request about it, you know. Smash some Portuguese in Valencia. Bjarke is fit for the crown, hooray for him. And Torva makes her way through the land. I wanted to talk to the English and see if we can do something with them. Who knows? Maybe they can be interesting to work with. Basically done nothing with them, but they are there and they are significant. And so, a new little tidbit coming below. So, princess is going around, having a good time. Cardinal promoted, but not for us because our priests are bad. It's just the way things are to be had, I'm afraid. Not much to do about that. But what we can do something about is our presence down here, because you see, ooh, there are actually interesting things happening. It seems that Portugal is not too shy about smashing their neighbors, and the Aragon Empire has been collapsed, or at least the Kingdom of Aragon, and that has resulted in some rebel settlements, and we are going to try to take advantage of that, but I'm not sure we can sort of saddle up in time. Time will tell, of course. But, you know, if we are to establish a foothold in that region, having 2 or 3 settlements is far more sustainable than having 1, so let's, you know, we're going to make a show for it, and we're going to get some folks to where they can be most useful. SSHIP is proving to become a decent little man, and we have another decent little man and an admiral doing his thing. Portugal knocking on the walls of Zaragoza, you know, with no real success. And by the looks of things, they're not going to have any success now either. But, you know, that's just what it is. And, development. Things are going well. Potential new general? We're going to investigate that. But actually, the real target of our desire is an Englishman sitting in a town over there. We're going to try to snatch him up because he's a really good commander and we can use some of those. And then there are some news in castle building, some civilian construction sites. Our queues have stalled because we're building so many things, but we are building a lot, and a lot are getting built. So, you know, can't complain too much, even though our financing does not outstrip our wildest dreams as of yet. Maybe we'll get to that. Who knows? It's interesting that throughout this period, Poland, with whom we have warred so much, have actually proved decently passive, or at least occupied with other powers, because they are proving quite unpopular throughout Europe, except in the Pope's good graces, of course, which is a bit of a problem. Since we are perpetually unpopular with the Pope, you know, I think you can see where the troubles are leading. But, you know, fresh merchants, fresh faces to throw at the most profitable trade routes in Europe. Yeah, very good. Valencia developing, but of course, the annoyance here is that it's getting less and less easy to hold on to the public order in Valencia. So we're trying to figure out how to best do that. With or without generals, you know, can we leave the place behind? How big is the impact of that boo we've got over there? Okay, do we want an elderly general? Not really. Toulouse, what's going on here? More Portuguese. The Portuguese are everywhere down there. It's quite crazy. Oslo, developing. Nice. We're going to get some local autonomy where we can get it, because it seems like a really good development, apparently. Autonomy just rules, because it creates trade opportunity and happiness. So, who could deny that? It's very good. Alright, comitatus here, comitatus there. Independent sovereignties everywhere, and we have found our mark, and we marry him, and George Tuckett is now firmly in our family. Welcome. 27 years old, a great commander, not too loyal, but we're hoping that maybe he just really hated his old family, and that he'll love bringing some fresh loins into our lands. Who knows? We'll see. But for now, we just gotta get him home. Well, his new home, I suppose. A better home. Don't you worry. Spies, merchants, ties that bind. Hanseatic buildings, trade. Things will get explosive with that pretty soon. I'm pretty sure that those buildings will compound once they're all built. It's... Yeah. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Literally. Moving folks through Europe and sending fleets over to meet with George Tuckett. That's just how it's going to be. And maneuvering. Oh, the lowlands are treacherous, but we'll get through them. Some basic education going around, some basic finance being taken care of, and oh, I believe, my friends, I believe we may just have had a bit of tea prepared just now in the break while we were away. So, what shall we do with that tea? Well, we're certainly doing something. Oh, some local autonomy established. Danzig becoming a slightly better place to live. Let's hope this autonomy does not invite foreign rule. That would be bad. Torva trying to establish some alliances. It's apparently a really tall order. It takes a while to build up to alliances, like the different programming of the AI or of the diplomacy stats in this game. This version of the game seem disposed to eschew alliances. But, you know, we'll make do regardless. We're improving our merchants, they're getting better day by day, and our finances are improving to the point where we start having some decent capacity for training. And there's been rebellion in Spain. Now this is interesting because it could leave us in a favourable position, but what it means most of all apparently is that Aragonians have risen up. against the Portuguese, and now they're back. That's interesting. We saw their decline and then their re-emergence. And we'll try to make friends with them anyhow. Because, you know, enemy of the enemy is my friend and all that. New Pope, he doesn't like us. Surprise. But he's from the Holy Roman Empire. They're our allies, surely. Surely some naturally favourable predisposition must be available to us. But no. We'll make do though. We'll make do. And we head for Toledo. So, Danzig in a bit of a kerfuffle because we had a, you know, loss of a leader there. They're not liking it too much. But, you know, in the meantime, let's try to make George Tuckett a man of our dreams, so to speak. Merchant's doing well. Generally, I mean, the Scandinavian peninsula is a big ball of development. We're just building everything we can, trying to max out our economic opportunities. And in the meantime, we're going to send out some folks to take care of some rebels, but yeah. Bishops going where they do, crossbows in the Baltics, hooray. Okay, yeah. Ooh, let me get into that green tea over there. While we just develop our trade routes. Okay. We're just basically trying to get our leadership where it needs to go. A new generation has sort of arrived, and we'll try to make the best of it. And this is going to be a bridge battle, and I tend to enjoy these, but this one was a little bit of a slog, I have to admit. Because the enemy just stood up to the bridge and did not advance. So we just started to shoot them, and then they shot back. And we shoot them back, and they shoot us back, and yeah. At one point I just decided, well, maybe we just need to move closer. Maybe we just gonna shoot them for everything we've got, and then we're just gonna march across. And so we did. And our cavalry joins in, and we mash, and we mash, and we mash, and we smash. And mashing, smashing a little while later, then their line starts to break. Some Spanish rebels that need a little bit of a lesson, shall we say. But they'll get it, and oh my goodness, we are losing some men. But they are expensive men to upkeep, and we can get cheaper ones later, so that's not too bad, actually. We'll be okay. We'll be okay. But what a bloody field this was. Goodbye, Spanish rebels. Not my favourite British battle ever, but, you know, we got through it. And then there is Hernando sealed in his castle, which we will attack. Our spy has opened the gates, and that means we can just waltz right in. No gate's gonna stand between us and our goals. Alright, so the enemy's just basically camping way up in there, so we're gonna get in, we're gonna shoot some things up and see how that goes. We're gonna rely on our crossbows most of all because they are the ones most intact. It's about all that's going on here, really. It's a fairly unremarkable battle, but at least we try to, you know, the game tries to keep it interesting by making it really tricky to get our crossbows in line on the walls. They're slightly tired, but up they go, and they shoot away, and everything's good. And our enemy decides to sally out against some troops, and we don't like that. We want them inside so we can shoot them. So we tempt them back with our cavalry. And then it's just a game of cat and mouse. Only the cat is armed with a crossbow. So, you know, well-armed cat. but then we find Toledo in a bit of a state. The riots in this place have not gone without consequence. Major buildings damaged, but huge potential in the place. So at this point, I've just resolved to try to keep a foothold in Iberia. And now, new crusade. The Pope, he just loves those bloody things. And he loves sending our crown princes on them, which is a bit of a shame, really. It's a waste of crown princes as far as I'm concerned, but you can't always change the world, can you? Björn Halogaland, or Helgoland, as we say in Danish. Yeah, far away from home, but managing to keep a lid on unrest in the Spanish provinces. And Olaf is honorably sitting in Kalmar, growing the place at a rate never before seen. He's basically the developmental supercharger, and I want Kalmar to become a trade hub, so, to link up with Visby and Danzig and all that. I see potential, I see potential. At this point it becomes ever so more pressing that we get more leadership down to Spain, but things are all sort of heating up, having to put together crusading armies at home and sending them off on behest of a pope that doesn't like us. It's a little disconcerting. King of Hungary dead, and on the positive side, we are really gaining in financial heft now. Our core regions, and Toledo especially, are bringing in such a large amount of money that life is a lot better for it. So we try to strategize for the long haul with Toledo, but it's a bit of a risky business, so all the investments may come to naught. We'll see. And some more crusaders. Off to war you go. I try to get some navies to them, but that crusading army is moving through Europe at such a pace. So, yeah. And hello, brigands. Gotta deal with you guys, but now, of course, Oslo is in a bit of a state because there's a leadership vacuum up there, and they don't like it. So, we're gonna have to send someone up there, but hopefully it's gonna be okay. But we're running low on qualified administrators at this point, which I do not enjoy, I have to say. So, break into battle number 4. It's a whole mess of horses and, well, spears. So let's hope we can make it all work. We have our spears, they clash out into their cavalry. Ha 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 ha. We have our cavalry, gets shot at a little bit, attacks a little bit. It's a dance, these things, when you have a lot of cavalry and you gotta time everything well. It's all about, breaking their flanks and then breaking upon them from behind. It's a fun little thing to do, but of course it's never without risk, and we do lose a few, especially because it's low-skilled cavalry militia, but they still do a decent enough job, and we claim victory. Helden goes up to Oslo and retrains some troops, and some matter of stability is now back on the table. New blood for Lund, where Bo shall sit for a while. Hopefully learn some administrative chops at local schools. And a priest fails to get the better of a witch. She kills him. Bugger. But, at least I prefer that to having a conga line of converted clerics on my hands. Because that's what heretics will end up doing. They will multiply your problems. Witches do have other things though, and they're starting to make our leaders and agents sick all around the place, so we don't want that. And of course, they invite the Inquisitors, and they themselves can be quite nasty. So far we haven't had too bad luck with them, but luck is really the name of the game with those inquisitive bastards. But anyway, more priests, more trade, more development, Scar, yeah, hello. And in the meantime, our Crown Prince is marching through the Balkans. And he's off on a boat now. He'll be in the Holy Land before you know it. Bugger me, but this is where the campaign starts to take a little bit of a turn, I have to say. George Tuckett seems happy in our family, so that's one thing that's very, very nice, but his wife is also pretty old as they come, so I've managed to give him a marriage with little prospect of heirs. It's a little sad, but if George is happy, then, you know, life is good. New generals, new possibilities. Sending them to places, and then, you know, more public order buildings in Oslo. It's, you know, you gotta keep control of those bloody Norwegians, don't you? So we're building multiple churches, we're building council chambers, you know, centers of administration, and all the good life, essentially. And Toledo is just refusing to be managed. But, yeah, what can you do? And in the meantime, our diplomatic missions are sort of going nowhere at the moment. So now we're just trying to find a suitable heir for our princesses. That's sort of how that's going, and then we will pivot to train some more professional diplomats. Not that our dear ladies are not professionals. I certainly deem them to be exactly that. Another turn. No more martial law in Toledo, but that doesn't make them any happier. Support the traders? Sure, we can do that. Does it help with the Pope? No, not at all. That's just the thing in this game. Sometimes you gotta bite on a sour apple, as we say in Denmark. But anyway, our priests, our newest trained priest is going from strength to strength in battling blasphemy, so let's hope this good luck lasts, because he's going over to his priest so he can take care of a priestess over there, or not a priestess, a witch over there. And we're going to try to get our traders and folks away from the one in Pomerania. And our king goes a smashing. So there's some woodsmen over there, and they're going to feel the blunt joy of a cavalry charge up the groin. What a lovely day to be alive. And we maneuver a bit, and smash, and smash. Boom, and they're gone. Excellent. So, you know, with a 50 troop bodyguard you can do a lot, so. And Bjarke needs his own little military experience, you know, he needs to get his own groove on. He hasn't done that many battles himself, so we need to change that. Leading from the front. That's how it'll usually go. But still, it seems that low authority haunts us, and provinces far and wide are feeling a little rowdy. And there are assassins everywhere around here, which is really, really not what we want. Apparently the Moors are pretty just down on our presence. I suppose it's because we're Catholic, isn't it? And we have this whole huge heretical problem in Visby. But the Inquisitors have done their job and actually killed the witch, so so that's good. It's nice. And we find out by basically sending our priest there and going, no one's here. So I guess we'll just go hunt some rebels instead. Come, my man. Come, my little princeling. You are going smashing. And smash. He does. Alright, and then there's this whole Ascalon thing, and we decide to fatefully just try to hold on to a siege and see how that goes. A fateful decision, as it turns out. But, yeah, what can you do? And then a new mission. Yeah. Do some diplomacy, basically. But we lost our dear prince, and so our entire crusading army is essentially buggered. There's nothing we can do with it. I suppose the only thing we could have done with it was try to attack the citadel, but now reinforcements had come in, and so we'd be pretty screwed without a leader to hold our morale together. But at least we're having luck denouncing some witches, and that's good. That's very good. Means our merchant can come back home. Some news of the world. Desertion. Not particularly surprising. Yeah, the only thing we could have done down there in the Holy Land at this point was to capture the settlement and just raid it for all they have and plunder the profits, you know. But that's not really... It wouldn't have gotten us that much because we're pretty wealthy to begin with. And we would just have created a huge setback for a settlement down there. You could argue that's a zero-sum situation where their loss is our gain, but we're not even meaningfully close to them to really benefit from any weakness down there or shift in power. So, meh. End of the dynasty, yeah. But for the neighbours, our dynasty is still going, well, not strong, but moderately vigorous, shall we say. And the leader needs some public order, so public order buildings is what we're trying to build. It's there's not a lot of it actually, so we're just trying to get some libraries and to compare some options, see what we can do to stabilize things. But all these buildings take so much time to build that it may not be enough. Foreshadowing, oink oink. But we keep our priest in Visby because we gotta convert some people. And though the Inquisitor also does that, to be fair, we wanted to go quicker because we want him to go away. In the meantime, Valencia, we're trying to keep it stable, but it's growing challenging down there. And here comes the papacy and just executes our priest. You wouldn't think it possible, but there you go. But new priest for us, I suppose. Try to offer ceasefire to the Poles, and they don't want it, for reasons that shall soon be revealed. Apparently they have plans. Oh, plague in our capital. How lovely. Not exactly the best, because it means that the troops we might otherwise have trained there, plenty available, will not be trained. Quite simply. It's a bit of a shame. But let's hope nobody attacks us, you see? Let's hope nobody attacks us whatsoever. We really hope that nobody attacks us whatso bloody ever. Get as many public order facilities in Spain to bear as possible. So basically a lot of cheap troops, and hope the buildings get there on time. Danzig is now under siege. Oh, bugger me. Or they might soon be under siege at least. So that's a problem. The Poles are coming, and we can just sit by and watch, or we can try to do something about it. For now, we've got a situation to stabilize in Iberia. As usual, it's getting a bit more desperate there because we only have one leader and two difficult castles to hold. Back home, things are also a bit tense. But, at least Roskilde is back on the healthy track, so that's nice. But doesn't mean that its vacuum has gone unnoticed. So, sending in some new merchants, hooray for that, but really. I mean, exploring all over the place for new trade routes is not that easy, and the Hungarians have apparently decided to cast our alliance aside. This is a bit annoying because they were our friends against the Poles, but no longer. And now all hell breaks loose. Are you ready for it? Lithuania. Yeah, okay, that's not really the biggest news for us. It's our leadership vacuum because our old king died, and you know, Bjark is gone, and now Hjalte is a king, and he is not really ready to be king, in my humble opinion. He's just sitting in Danzig, and he's under siege, and there's nothing he can do, and we try to train as many troops as we can in our dear capital, but there is not a lot there in the immediate term, and we have to retrain other troops as well. It's a bit of a mess, this one, and perhaps I should have had a bit more foresight and trained a few more troops. So now we're just raising as much militia in the vicinity as we can, but of course Danzig is on the very edge of our realm, so the vicinity is limited, shall we say, both in terms of what it can produce and just in how quickly we can get there. Trying to make friends with Aragon, it's not going so well. I mean, we're making okay friends with Aragon though, but it's... And that is then where we end the episode for today. So now we have some real decisions to make with regards to the Polish siege and everything. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope you've enjoyed this little Denmark on speed episode, and I hope to see you next time when our war against Poland enters a new and deadly phase. Until then though, be kind to yourself, be good to those you love, and I will see you soon.